Hello and welcome to Redeeming Thunder and Daughters of Fire. These are the two YouTube channels that I have regarding posting prophetic word of the Ordained Spouse series. Please stay tuned. Grab your popcorn because you're about to encounter very incredibly romantic prophetic experience and word that's coming upon you. For those of you who have been waiting for something to be launched in your ordained spouse relationship, this is surely going to alert that something is simmering behind the scenes. This is given to me on 3/16/2026, and it's chapter 76, part 1. And the dream does entail that one is going through divine healing. The emotional pain and anguish, the emotional trauma roots in the stomach, quite literally, in the hip flexors and in the stomach. And with this prophetic word, it is stating that you are on the mend. That once you begin that journey of emotional healing, you're going to understand that you are ready for a relationship. Okay? So please listen on. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Like I said, grab your popcorn. Because this is getting quite juicy. Okay? So, bro, sis, do not be in sorrow because true love is coming your way. So let me give you the dream and the interpretation of the dream first, and I'm going to give you prophetic insight besides that. In the dream, I saw a woman who was looking around and saw many people walking in the hallway, walking past her, and it looked like she was hidden for a season because it didn't look like anybody was looking towards her way and or assisting her. She looked to the side and there was a portal, and portal was opened. And through that portal she could see stars in a dark sky. Starry night. So obviously there's a breakthrough that's going to occur. Suddenly the scene changed and I saw she was in a room, and in that room looked to be a hospital setting with white walls. And she had walked out of the room in a hallway. And that hallway had white walls. Suddenly she had lifted up her shirt up to her ribs, and she had exposed her tummy. And it looked that she had a tummy tuck operation. There was a mirror to the side, and she went and looked at herself in front of the mirror. And she's looking and examining her new tummy, and it looked toned, and there was a new scar there, but she had overall felt better. And so she had walked over to some family members to I guess present her new toned tummy. Very excited about looking fit and toned, okay? And she's like, look, it's repaired. It looks a lot better than before. And she said that she's not in pain. Okay, so in the dream, she didn't have a flat tummy. Like, it didn't look like six pack, okay? So the family members were like, I don't see anything different than before, because when she's trying to show them that it looks different and it feels different, she's internally feeling different, okay? But on the inside, but on the outer side, yeah, it doesn't look like six pack. So everybody was just like, I don't see what you see. But she definitely felt a difference, and it was a notable difference. Okay. So what's going on here is there is an individual who is assisting you with healing traumatic episodes, okay, in your life right now. And they are literally pouring in vitality in your body. And it's going to feel different. It's not going to be love bombing. So it's not going to be a rush of attention, gifts galore, and it's not going to be sexually charged. You know, as what I'm trying to say is a bunch of attention and just rushing at you with it. It's going to be calm. It's going to feel different. It's going to be approaching you with a much respect and gentleness. Okay? So many people who deal with a lot of pain in their tummy, they may feel cramps and or nerve pain, where it feels like sharp shooting pain. It could have some muscle spasms in there. You could have surgery in your stomach that could cause all of those pains. But if you didn't, you could still experience quite literally pain in your hips and in your stomach area when you're dealing with trauma. It could be childhood trauma. It could be relationship trauma. It could be any kind of trauma. Okay? And it could feel like you just had surgery, even though you did not, and you just were living life. Okay? So in this dream, it's expressing that something in your life is someone and some things that are occurring in your life is causing you to feel that you could come out of survival mode and start to heal and start to trust again. Okay? And the tummy tuck has a lot to do with, once you heal, internally heal, what you do is you can also go to the massage therapist, and they will massage your stomach in a certain way. You can go to physical therapy, and they will do exercises, show you exercises that you can do to strengthen your core. They also do certain massages around the scar tissue. Let's say if you've had a C-section, you definitely want to be the one to go and get some physical therapy, because it can affect you on the inside, not only with emotions, by holding in those emotions that are traumatic. You need to release them so you can fully heal, but internally in your organs, it could affect you. It could affect your bladder. It could affect your sexual organs, where it could affect where even where, if sitting down, in a chair and or on a bed, just sitting down could be painful. That could alarm that you need to heal your stomach, your muscles on the inside, the scar tissue that's on inside your stomach. Quite literally, like physically heal it. So you need to go to therapy. Um, Now, if you don't have money, you don't have insurance, then you could do these exercises on your own, and you could. There are some Instagram videos where women show how to heal the tummy. Men could also heal um, this emotional aspect by massaging. You could lay on a vertical long pillow, okay, kind of firm, or you just roll up some towels, a couple towels together, so it's like a little tube, and you could lay just right on the pillow there, on the floor or on the bed, face down, and it will feel like a lot of pressure, like if it's pulling and stretching, and that's exactly what you want to feel in order for you to feel released. And you do some diaphragmatic breathing, um, because you're teaching your body how to breathe properly, okay, with diaphragmatic breathing. Then when you're taking all those knots out of your stomach, you're healing from the inside out. When you heal and remove all of those knots out of your stomach and around your hips near your pelvic bone, you will be able to then lose weight. Your low back pain will disappear, and your body will not be in survival mode anymore. And so you're able to then physically even look thinner. You could add red light therapy alongside this therapeutic healing. Meanwhile, you're emotionally healing by not being around the same toxic relationships. That's the other key factor. You cannot be tied to someone that it doesn't know how to love you correctly. Okay? So now let's introduce somatic therapy and explain what that means. This technique focuses on safety releasing trauma by connecting with the body's sensations using methods like pendulation, swinging between discomfort and resource, titration, slowly approaching difficult feelings, resourcing, accessing safety, calm, grounding, orienting to the present, and somatic tracking, following the physical feelings to help the nervous system process stress and build resilience without overwhelm. This is important for those to heal in this way, especially those who have dealt with fibromyalgia, because the fibromyalgia is very difficult to maintain. The body wants to go into fight or flight or freeze mode. It wants to go into protective mode. So what it does is send pain signals throughout the body, even though there's no emergency. And the way it sends these emergency signals is that it will express it in your body through stiffness and pain. Okay? And so it's like it needs to be reprogrammed. Your body needs to be reprogrammed. And the way that you do this is you need to embrace a little bit of discomfort. You could do that through counseling, speaking in a safe environment regarding what occurred to you. Some people cannot speak about it, so then you can do some art therapy by painting or drawing, or you can get in, you can do some garden work, and you can do some dance, and you can express through positive activity. Okay, now there are some physicians and therapists they're pros in this field, okay, and they will take the extra measures and help you emotionally heal by somatic tracking. So a lot of them, what they do is they hold you until it feels safe, and then they let go. And a lot of people don't know how to even relax when they're being held, because they had to brace for impact like their entire lives, where at first they were in that relationship and it felt safe all the time, but that other person's nervous system was always dysregulated. So then it caused this person to be living on edge, like on eggshells all the time, because they have to brace for impact, be ready to defend, be ready to rescue others. And it's just been this cycle, non-stop cycle of rescue ranger. And so they don't know how to shut it off and then also be the one to be rescued. So when you're entering into your rest, you're letting go of the reins of you rescuing yourself, and you're allowing the Most High to rescue you. And He's going to be sending people on this earth that know how to do that, to rescue you from yourself, from your own nervous system. That means they have to be regulated to the extreme. That means they can't explode, right? They can't, they need to be stable. So probably who's going to be coming for you has a very stoic nature. They're not phased to the extreme. They're not moved by your emotions, dysregulation. They're going to see that you're dysregulated, and they're going to bring you down to center. Okay? They're going to teach you new methods, and this is the experience that this woman experienced during that time frame, which you will experience. It is very important that the person that's coming for you is regulated. If they are distraught all the time, if they're explosive and they're cussing and cursing, and you're expressing how you feel, and instead of them hearing you out, they're getting angry and they're scolding you for your feelings, for having feelings, that person isn't it. I don't know if that's not clear, but that person is not the one that the Most High sent you. Okay? You should be able to be free to have your own feelings, to be able to have your own emotions, and you should be able to express them while not pulling that person into dysregulation. They should be able to be calm in the storm, especially a man. Okay? They have more logic. Their brains work differently than a woman's brain, and they have the ability to instantly want to solve problems. Okay? And so they are the stronger vessel, and they need to portray these attributes. That's why they were called the head of the household. And that's why the Most High is sending you somebody else that has these traits, that can hold you, that can hold His presence. So let's continue to learn to help the nervous system process stress and build resilience without overwhelm. That's very important. Okay, so pendulation technique gently moves attention between an area of stress, discomfort, and a place of comfort or neutrality in the body, expanding the capacity to tolerate sensations. So this could be a manual therapy where you're feeling some stress in your shoulders, let's say, and at first it feels like a ball of tension, but as they manipulate it with their hands or with a gua sha, you start to feel more relaxed and the knot has disappeared. So you feel a little bit of that tension, but you could tolerate the sensation. Okay, titration means releasing trauma in a small, manageable doses by focusing on brief movements of activation and then returning to a settled state, preventing overwhelm. So, resourcing, actively recalling or focusing on internal or external sources of safety, calm, or strength, like a happy memory or a comforting object. Some people um, enjoy a soothie, kind of like a blanket, a soft blanket, a heavy blanket, or when you're feeling a bit of a trauma episode coming on, you have to remember your senses. So, obviously, breathing. Um, look around your surroundings. This is for people that deal with PTSDs, okay? And you want to not be tunnel vision, because that's how you could tell that you're going into one of those episodes. So you want to look around your surroundings and understand you're not in that post stress situation. You are living in present moment to ground yourself. So these are grounding tools. Um, you could be like rubbing a fabric and obviously, if you know that you're going into one, you want to alert somebody that you trust to say, and a lot of times there's not enough time to say it when you're going into a PTSD moment. I understand that. But there are signs that you could tell, like you could feel tunnel vision coming on where it's going black on the sides and you can only see straight. You could feel your heart pounding and sweat around your head. You could feel shallow breathing and panic. Okay, so those are some signs. So sometimes when those are speaking about their trauma, it could trigger on those physical attributes of a traumatic episode. And so it is important to figure out what is too much in that moment. And sometimes speaking about it is too much. And that's why I say other activities would play in to heal. So thinking about a happy memory, some people, they go shopping, they buy a little something that cheers them up. You put your mind in a happy state, in a positive mentality state. Okay, now grounding orientation, bringing awareness to the present moment and the physical surroundings to create a sense of stability and presence. Somatic tracking or body scanning, paying close attention to subtle physical sensations, warmth, tingling, pressure as they arise in the body without judgment. Movement and gesture, engaging in gentle, spontaneous movement, stretching or shaking to release physical tension and incomplete defensive responses. I've watched many videos on Instagram regarding movement and gesture technique. They're doing some Chinese exercise where they're like throwing their arms back and forth against their chest, and then they're shaking, and they're just shaking their limbs, and they're flapping their arms back and forth like back and forth, like smacking their body back and forth. You don't always have to go through the traumatic event to heal. It has to be released out of your body. That's why I say dance, because it's releasing out of your body. You're moving your body, and it's releasing the stress. When you do that, you don't have to go step by step in the traumatic event of what happened in order to heal. It just has to come out of your body, especially when you're depressed, you're very sad. Instead of just sitting in the corner and holding in your cry, I don't recommend that, because it's not getting released out of your body. It's not. Okay? So sitting in a massage chair and it's vibrating, that's helping it release out of your body. Going for a walk and doing some Tai Chi type of movement, that's getting it released out of your body. So while praying in the spirit, I hear A Maya Solo Salah. So this means, alas, jump for joy, a creative miracle is going to occur. So Solo stands for to be single. And Salah means he is sending someone for somebody. Hallelujah. So then I hear in the spirit, Ama times 3, which means handmaid. It also means of marriageable age. This word is used in the book of Ruth, and it references when Ruth is stating to her Boaz that she is a handmaid, his servant. Now, did she work where he worked? Was she doing volunteer work in his area? Yes, she was. She was picking up the scraps, okay? The tares, the wheat tares, as they have been in harvest season. And he saw her out in the field. And he noticed her big time. And she noticed him. But later on, she had to tell him, you are my kinsman redeemer. So she's telling him, I am your servant. I am your handmaid. But she used the word Ama, which references, there's two Amas. One of them in Hebrew means almost like a family member. Okay? The second Ama means of marriageable age. That means don't look at me as a family member, as just an employee of yours. Look at me as a woman who's available because she's single. Do you see what I'm saying? She's like, I want you to notice me like a single woman that needs a husband. And eventually she does say she chooses him. She says that to him flat out. And he is so honored that she chose him. But men want to be chosen. She did have a need. Her and her mother-in-law, Naomi, you know, they had a need. Because they came from, they were from Moab, and they traveled to Bethlehem. And so they were both widowed women. Not living, they're living in modest means, can we just say it? But she didn't want to come at him and say, I need you because we don't have much money. That's not why she fell in love with him. Okay? I think she just happened to. And she knew she was in her divine alignment, and she was positioned to work in his fields through volunteer work. And then he saw favor. He provided favor. Okay? Because, well, he was attracted to her, and he was single. All right? And he was realizing that she's very beautiful, and she is an honorable woman. Many all around knew she was an honorable woman. And they were placed at the right place at the right time to meet for a purpose of marriage. She had some inheritance, but could not retrieve it. It was from her past husband, Naomi's son, that passed away. And she could not retrieve it, because women could not retrieve their inheritance unless they were married. So she had to find somebody that was within the family. That, in that sense, back in the day, they had to find some kind of relative. But what it means in interpretation means someone that has the same beliefs that you have, worships the same deity, which is Yahuwah the Most High. So that would be the relative, right? And she needed to find someone. So she needed to be in the proximity that he was at. And she was placed exactly in his garden. So in his area of work. Okay? So the Most High is going to place the woman in the proximity of the man's area of work and or wherever he goes, whatever he does. Let's say it's sports activity and he's the coach and you have children that go and you take them to the sports activity. Okay, so it's going to be like something like that. Or you go to a certain store that you like to shop. And suddenly you have inkling that you want to start going to a different store, where the Most High told you to go to that other store, but that happens to be where you're going to be interacting with your ordained spouse. Okay? Or you have to go seek treatment. And you're going to be positioned to go to the certain clinic that person works at. Or you're going to start a new job. And the Most High is going to put you at that job location because the person who you're supposed to marry, who you're supposed to be with, is going to be at that job. You need to have interactions with one another to get to know each other. Right? So that's what the Most High is doing. If he's telling you to move to a new clinic, it's because the individual who you're supposed to be with is going to be there. Or the new job, it's going to change jobs. It's because it's going to be over there. There's been some changes. All right? So, in other words, there's a conversation that you're going to have where you're going to say, I choose you. And that's a huge moment. But that will soon take place. So there's going to be an important conversation where you and your ordained spouse he's going to be asking you these questions that seem basic, but they're actually not basic. Okay? Because the reason why he's asking you is because he's trying to get to know you. He's trying to see if your goals match his. And so literally, like, he's going to ask, are you living your dream? And the second question he's going to ask, what are your goals? And you're going to be like, huh. At first you're going to be like, why is this person wanting to know these things? Right? And then you're going to be like, well, maybe he wants to get to know me. And that moment, you might be put in the spot and maybe your mind might go blank. Okay? And you also might be shocked because no one has actually taken the time to ask you those questions. What are your dreams and what are your goals? Now he's just going to stand there and he's going to literally waiting for you to answer. And just be honest. If you don't feel like you're living your dream, say it. Okay? And in this moment, the way you explain your dream and goals is you're probably going to go through a series of credentials that you have earned in the past. Then he's going to ask, what do you want to do? Okay? This is an important question. It sounds so basic, and I don't want you to miss it. Because these questions, if a person is truly interested in you, they're going to ask these 3 questions. And this woman said, it's okay that you say, I don't know, but you finish it off with something that sounds feminine in your feminine energy. Okay? And she says, there's a transition where you could be in between in between professions, in between jobs, where you have left one job and you want to start a new career. And that's okay that you want to do that. So you could say that. But it's also that she said she wants to something that she works with her hands and where she can be creative. And you're going to be like, that's so vague. I don't know if that was enough. But guess what? That was very impressive. Why? Because she said something that was straight up in her feminine energy. Women in their feminine energy are nurturing and creative. So she's in her element. And when she can be in her feminine energy, the masculine can be in his masculine role. Do you see what I'm saying? So I will be putting up a comparison of a masculine role and a feminine role, so you can understand how amazing, what an amazing answer she gave. He later on brings up a comment that she had once said months ago that she thought that he didn't really pay attention to or forgot. So that's critical right there, because you could tell that that person's paying attention. Because what looked like he brushed off months before when she said that comment, he brings it up like something mattered, like it mattered, like he didn't actually brush it off, because she was vulnerable in that moment when she said she had worked somewhere and she enjoyed that position and she enjoyed that career, but they didn't really see her, or the boss didn't really see her and help her advance in that area, in that career. And she had to file many complaints. So he was technically a mean boss. So she had to say something vulnerable, which you think, the way to encounter your ordained spouse is only say things that are positive, and only say things that are triumphant, and only say things that are amazing, and that's how you're going to get him to like you. But that's not true. This woman stated the facts. She stated that she left that position because she wanted to be treated better. And after she filed many complaints, she realized that she could find better, but it could be somewhere else that she could start new. And it may be where she needed to leave that position because it wasn't hands-on as what she desired to be, in a position where it would be hands-on. Okay? More physically active, in other words. So she is proactive in seeking a new position in her future where she can be creative and be physically active. So share your passions in this moment. They just want to know what you're into, okay? And that's really good feedback, because I don't know if you noticed this, but in your past counterfeit relationships, did they even ask? Did they even ask what your passions were, what your goals, what your dreams? Or were you just living off of their dreams? And this individual truly wants to know who you are. You are moving away from toxic relationships. So in the past, some counterfeits possibly would express neglect, punish you through neglecting you, your emotional state, maybe even physical affection, for following your dreams or your passions. Okay? And obviously that's toxic. Obviously that's abusive. Or they could be neglecting you because you are off being very busy caring for your health or caring for yourself, doing a lot of self-care. And you notice that person is um, becoming more distant, and or let's say holding a grudge because you're taking care of yourself. That would be someone that is toxic and unhealthy for you, because internally you're going to be feeling um, that emotional pain because you're being treated that way and you know it's wrong, right? You have to know it's wrong. Your body is signaling warning signs through emotional pain all throughout your body that you're not in the right relationship. A lot of the time people think, oh, I just have neck pain. Oh, I just have shoulder pain. It's just one of those days. Or I just have, crampy stomach, pelvic pain, bladder. Anyway, but each limb is expressing each part of section of the body, of the back, even in your hands, in your feet, could explain what you're feeling. Like in your armpit, you could be feeling very much achiness in your pecs around your armpit, and you could not understand why, just suddenly just starts hurting. But that would be someone that is dealing with a lot of anguish and sorrow. Okay? You could be feeling pain in your rib, where your gallbladder sits, around there, and that could explain that you're having pain because you're holding in, you're undecisive, and you're holding in um, emotions. Okay? So obviously if you have pain in your shoulders, you're holding the weight of the world on your shoulders, and certain parts of your back, just it explains what's happening. Okay? Even when your jaw, it's the unspoken word. Or if your throat hurts, you're withholding much of what you want to say, or you feel you're not being heard even though you do say it, and that is why your throat and or your jaw begins to hurt. Okay? Because it was a lack of expression. So it also could be you've expressed it, and all of the turmoil is still happening. Those individuals are still hurting you. So then it could be sadness. So that would be why someone would deal with TMJ when they clench their teeth at night. Okay? So then you're going to have to make decisions now. Do you stay in those toxic relationships that are hurting your body? Or do you go through your healing journey and you remove yourself from those relationships that don't allow you to be your true self, authentic self? Well, I hope you choose the route where you choose yourself. You choose to love yourself and you choose to heal. And in this prophetic word with the dream, it does express that you are healing your tummy. You had a tummy tuck. Okay? And that's the central area of emotions. It roots from there. So some people have gut issues like GERD, heartburn, and they have ulcers, or they have stomach cramps, like much tension, knots. They don't realize it's knots. They have low back pain, and they're thinking, I just lifted wrong, or I bent over, with poor posture, and they're thinking that it's all because of those things that they're doing. They don't realize it's because they haven't healed something that's rooting from trauma. And so you're going to have to tackle it from the source, which is the front of the hip, pressing into your belly, pushing in. I mean, don't go all deep and aggressive, be gentle to your body, but you're gonna have to get those certain massages done in order to heal. And it's a lot of groundwork. So just know that you got to put yourself first now, okay? So now, at this point, the conversation that you're going to be having is you are putting yourself first, regardless of others punishing you for putting yourself first. And you're no longer going to be engaging in those relationships that are toxic. So the person that you're speaking to, which is your ordained spouse, is going to say, you are ready to shift. And in that moment, you are ready to shift because you are going to focus on conserving your energy. And you're done training others and explaining and over-explaining and prompting people how to treat you properly. Because to be honest, they should be treating you properly automatically. And a lot of you have been surrounded by many people that don't have any interpersonal communication skills, have a low emotional intelligence, and are narcissistic. And that's why you have been aching, and that's why you have been dealing with a lot of strife and many problems that are not yours. And so in this moment, you are ready to shift because you are ready to conserve your energy. Together with me, I want you to say, I'm shifting. I am ready to shift. Put that in the comments below if you are ready to shift. You need to proclaim these out of your mouth, and you need to write them down to come into an agreement, because it is like sowing a seed into your life. So in this moment, I want you to put your hand on your chest, because this is a real life experience, and this individual who has training in somatic therapy knows about reprogramming your mind. I'm not talking about in a creepy manner, okay? I'm talking about in a manner in which those who need to stand firm in their positive change, you need to reprogram your mind. And so this is what you're going to say. Hold your hand out and say, my truth. Say, my integrity is my shield, and my boundary is my sword. So we're going to say it again. My integrity is my shield, and my boundary is my sword. Because some of you are going to have to set high boundaries from these toxic people in order for this to manifest into your life. Okay? This is revolutionary vitality. Hallelujah. And then while praying in the spirit regarding this revelation, I hear ha, sa, ha, sa. And so the word ha, sa means to seek refuge, to take shelter, or to trust. It describes fleeing to a place or a person for protection. Hallelujah. Okay. And we want to break it down further, each word. It means, sa means deliverance. And I heard deliverance times 2. Then I hear ha. And that, if it's ha aretz, it means the land, referring to Israel. But there's also a word ha adam, which means the man, human. And ha kol means the whole, everything. So you're becoming whole by standing firm in your boundaries. So we're saying, my integrity is my shield, my boundary is my sword. And if you can understand this phrase, you need to hold integrity to yourself. You cannot continue to allow people in your life who hurt you, right? So you set high boundaries, and you can defend yourself without going crazy and without steeping down to their low level. You can remove yourself. And this sort of reminded me of a prophetic word long ago where it was my hands, my hands, my knees, my knees. Then I hear in the